today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. Well, pleasure to see you again.
Lovely to see you again too.
So before I get started and get to talk about Climax, the only reason I get to talk to you today and be here at TIFF is because of House of Aurora, who are the sponsors and who have all this. And I just want to give them a huge shout out and say thank you to them.
It's a beautiful place. What is it?
This is a former bank, actually. I think this was built in like the early 1900s.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah,
it's really gorgeous.
I wish people watching could actually see the decor inside. So they've been throwing some parties here at night.
Maybe we can turn the cameras around at some point.
Maybe I'll get some B-roll.
Okay.
So we'll throw in.
You need to get all the molds there.
Yeah. Well, I need you to.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forget.
Yeah, nothing important.
So what is it now? It was a former bank, but what is it now?
I don't actually. I think it is upstairs. It might be like an office building. I'm not 100%, but they throw a lot of parties here now. And as I said, thank you, House of Aurora.
Thank you, House of Aurora.
So now let's jump into why I get to talk to you today.
Yeah.
How have you been describing, because it premiered to a lot of buzz at the festival in Cannes, and how have you been describing the film to people? Because what I've seen looks, it is a very unique looking movie filled with this like pulsating energy.
Yeah, it's quite rich and intense. I mean, you're really jumping on a roller coaster once you start watching the film. It'll take you on a journey. You'll feel something pretty strongly, and it's almost your opinion would be yes or no, but you will feel something. For me, the experience was so unique, and the method that we worked with, and the whole process. So seeing it after, I had no idea what I was going to see, and I almost watched it from an audience perspective. I was just baffled by how he created that arc, because it's the story of these dancers that are perfectly fine and are spiked with a large amount of LSD, and then seeing them going internally into this journey was quite. I saw it twice now, and I'm still baffled by how he created the arc and when the changes are being made. And I think it's all like how he deals with rhythm and editing and also the music, which has a big part in the film. It's seamless. And I find that fascinating. And so I'm again, I think, going to watch it again tomorrow night. And I'm still observing like how he did things with his technique. But yeah, it's definitely a journey. You're jumping on a roller coaster when you're going to see it.
You were saying to me, and I didn't realize this, you were saying off camera, that he actually was the DP on it, that he shot. So talk a little bit about what it's like working with a director who's actually also the cinematographer.
Yeah, I mean, he has his DP with him, but he shot like every frame of the film. He had the camera on his shoulder and filmed every frame. We also had the crane for a day or a day and a half, and he maneuvered that as well. I have mad respect for a director that can grab the camera and shoot exactly the movie that he is seeing from, inside out. And yeah, it was quite special. Like every day we came to set and we had no idea what we were going to shoot, because we had only 5 pages treatment, and we would rehearse for about 4 to 5 hours. And like also we would rehearse 8 to 10 minute scenes, and then we would have lunch break, and then we would shoot for about another 5 hours. And we would shoot about between 14 and 17 takes every day of 8 to 10 minute scenes. And it like the rehearsal and the building process of like the scene would be, depend on the character and where he wanted to go and where he wanted to shoot. But every day we had no idea what we were going to do tomorrow.
Yeah, that has to be really weird, seeing it then for the first time, because you really have no idea what the final movie is going to be.
Exactly. That's why I said when I watched it for the first time, I was a complete audience. I was like, oh, that's the movie I've done. Even at the end of shooting the film, the very last day, I finally met my character entirely. Other than that, I remember, first of all, Gaspard contacted me on Instagram, which was pretty unusual. And I knew his movies, of course, and I was a big fan of his work, to be honest. And big respect for his instrument and for what he delivers each time. I just did not know the man, and I had no idea who I was going to find. And I told my agent, I said, just so you know, he reached out, and I happened to be in Paris, so we met up and we sat down. All he said is, I want to explore dancers. And I said, what else? Maybe dancers that are spiked with a large amount of LSD, and see what happens. And I just wondered, I was wondering why the recurrent theme of like the the sex, the drugs, or the violence, and he is just a man who's fascinated with people losing control, and I respect that when an artist has. And I think a lot of the time I don't like to always know why artists do what they deliver, because it doesn't matter. It makes you feel something. But I was really puzzled, and I was going to work with him. So I wanted to understand, I think, my character better through understanding Gaspar, and him saying that made complete sense. And he is just by far one of the kindest men ever. It's very sweet, and one of the most peaceful set I've ever been on, for a set where you don't know what we're going to do.
Well, I'm curious also because when you are going to be portraying a character that is basically tripping balls, like how are you
Preparing?
Yeah, but I mean seriously,
No.
do you not like that, but are you looking at a lot of other performances to see what you admire in a performance, or are you trying to just be authentic to who you are in the moment?
No, I just, first of all, I've never had that happen to me. And I've never done anything that put me in that state of, being completely all fucked up and high. But I researched a lot, but real footage. I didn't watch other performances because I didn't want it to be based off of that. And I didn't necessarily look at LSD. I looked at really hardcore drugs like flakka that are really scary to observe people on it. It's really traumatizing. So I just went to to that, like looking at real people that are on drugs. And I didn't have much time because the movie happened pretty quickly, but I wanted to meet real people that are like that. But I didn't go that far, but I looked at a lot of footage. I was completely dead sober during the movie, and you have to in order to create, to be present for your character. And of course I didn't do any drugs to research the character either.
Sure. I would imagine when you are working as hard as you did, working these crazy hours and doing these, the rehearsals and this entire process, what is it like on that first few days after you wrap? Are you just like a zombie? Are you just laying in bed? Like, how do you recover from like an experience like this?
Well, luckily, you can always, we shot in Paris, so I jumped on a flight not too long after that, and I was swept away towards various work, which helps. Sometimes
Sure.
it's harder to not have anything afterwards. I did, was, sort of like in shock. I was like, what just happened? And we shot pretty quickly. We only had 15 days. So, and we wrapped, and then 2 months later, we were at Cannes already, which was pretty incredible.
I didn't realize it was that fast, and that's amazing, especially based on the reaction at the festival, because you don't know what you're going to get.
I had no idea, and I loved I loved how it made me feel, and I love how it's still making me feel. I'm excited to see it tomorrow again, and I'm really fascinated by his technique, filming wise, and how he edits and what he does with the camera. Like, shots that you would see are magical because that's not how he shot them, and then what he does with them afterwards is pretty incredible. And he knows that he will do that. Even like there is the beginnings, it's so also seamless. Like his cut, we did shoot very long takes, but technically he's truly a master, and I just respect that a lot. And I love how he trusts spontaneity. He trusts where he will go. Like some detail, like behind the DJ booth, he asked our department to lay down, a bunch of fabric just to have a backdrop behind the DJ booth, and they put like various colors, and he looked at it and he said, "Oh, that looks like the flag of France," and he said, "Just make it the flag of France in sequence," and it became the whole identity of the first trailer. Even me, he would ask me, "What do you want your name to be?" in the middle of it. We had no idea what my name was. And he gave me various names, and then we went with Selva, which was his grandmother's name, which means forest. And I realized and that was after we shot that long sequence. I have a long sequence shot in the film that is where I go crazy. Basically, I'm at my climax of my craziness at that moment, and I look at the forest, and that's the thing that calmed me down and made me laugh and got me out of my, dementia at that moment. And my name is Forest, Selva in Spanish. It's like just all like you put the dots together. He has such incredible taste, and such incredible trust in spontaneity, and he works that way.
I'm curious how your process as an actor has maybe changed, shifted as a result of now working so much more. Do you have a typical process for every movie, or is it different for every single thing?
Yeah, I mean, I I love researching and I love breaking down the script and writing down. But for this one, I wasn't sure. The thing that I was sure about going on this journey with Gaspar, that I didn't want to be too rigid. I didn't want to have two set ideas that would gonna make me break at some point, because first of all, I couldn't do all the research that I usually do because I had no idea where I was going. All I knew is that I was this choreographer who was spiked with a large amount of LSD, and I wanted to find her depth. I had an idea, but every day I came to set and I was just very flexible with everything that I wanted to do, that I had in mind, because Gaspar has a lot to give and has a lot to direct, like he's really like, I follow his guideline very much, so but he listens as well, but he knows what's right, what's the color that is right, that isn't. So I just wanted to show up with like some sort of idea. This was different. Like I usually just really break down everything, do a bunch of research, and like write down a lot of stuff, and I couldn't on this one. I couldn't learn lines. I couldn't not that it's about that, but you do find a lot of colors through what's being said about your character, that in the narration, and in what other characters say about you and what you say about yourself. And in this one, I had to come up with that, and it's like every day I had to like just be on my toes, and then this like every second, like every day I had to like build the character. It was like, maybe I could go this route, make a completely different character than if I went this route. So every decision was very like crucial and important. And I usually also pay attention to a lot of the other characters, and on this one I couldn't. I had to focus just solely on mine because it was too much to take on board. It was stressful but so rewarding in the end. I felt really like artistically very free and I feel like I could explore something that was quite unique and special, and I can't wait to have my next project and see how I can apply what I learned on this one in terms of spontaneity.
Sure.
And see how I can incorporate that to more structured material.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if you end up reverting back to what you used to do, and how much is...
Like what? What do you mean?
Well,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see. I can't wait to explore both of that.
In the film, you have a history with dancing, and in the film, you're obviously dancing. What is it like when you're coming up with it in the moment? How much are you, do you know what I mean? Like coming up with these things.
You mean the steps?
Yeah.
So me and Nina McNeely, who's the choreographer in the movies, who's insanely talented, wanted to present something to Gaspar before we started filming, and so to show like the direction that we wanted to go for the climax moment of my character, and we ended up working in a way to where she was filming me and she was sort of guiding me through the moves while I was dancing. So I was listening to her, but I was also very much in my zone, and it worked. For some reason, I just listened to her, and I could pay attention while I was freaking out. And we said, let's just shoot it that way. Let's just make it that way. And so we filmed that way. She was behind Gaspar with a mic, and sometimes I would listen to what she would say, and sometimes I wouldn't. But like, we did only 7 takes of that scene because it's pretty intense and exhausting. But we had the exact choreography for the last 3 takes. And I think 4 takes into the shooting of the scene, Gaspar told me, Sofia, I really want to shoot you through this mirror in the bathroom. And I was like, what can take me to the bathroom? And I had this whole moment where I needed to go and wash my hand and wash some part of my body. And I decided to be tucked because I knew I wanted within that moment to have an arc and have a moment where I slow down. And having my hands in my tights was like my comforting moment. Like I felt tucked, and I thought, I need to lose myself in that and forget that I have my hands under my leggings until I want to get up again. And I'm freaking out because my hands are underneath my skin, and that drags me to the bathroom. So that's the kind of spontaneity that Gaspar comes up with. And I had to sing so sharply because I had only a few minutes to have a reason to what would take me as an actor to the bathroom, because he wasn't going to tell me that. And then in the last take, he told me, you can do whatever you want. And then that's when I went in the bathroom and I wet my hair, and that was the last take, is the one you see in the movie, because we had no time. We all did our own hair and makeup, and we had no time to do any sort of reset. it was it was pretty crazy.
I cannot wait to see. I cannot imagine also all the different versions that are on the editing room floor. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, before I run out of time with you,
Okay.
so there's a few questions. We've been playing something called Get to Know Your TIFF Attendee. It's very harmless questions, I promise. Well, you can let me know if you think they are harmless. What TV show would you love to guest spot on?
What's Gaspar?
Like be a guest, like to do one episode.
Oh, TV show, Sharp Objects.
Do you have a favorite sci-fi or fantasy film?
Oh my God. A never-ending story.
Well, that's a great movie. Did you see that as like a little kid?
Yes,
Yeah,
I loved it.
Oh,
It was my comfort movie.
yeah, I completely understand. What film scared you as a kid?
The Exorcist. I came across the tape when I was about 8 years old or something like that.
A little too young.
A little too young, but you know what? I was just in shock. But I liked it. It's weird.
Are you a fan of the horror genre? Let me fix that. Let me see.
I did it.
Are we good?
Are we good? Could you hear me before? Even though it was unplugged? Or you're just listening to him? You're not
No,
listening
she-
to what I'm saying, are you?
She can hear everything.
Okay, cool. Oh, okay,
Okay,
cool.
yeah. That's fine. What do you collect? Anything?
Do I collect? No. I think I went through a phase where I collected stamps when I was younger, just because I thought I needed to collect something. I collect, I don't know, hearts.
Do you own any movie or TV show props?
Yes, the ones that I've been in. Not.
Do you borrow
not,
something from set?
Borrow.
Yeah, meaning-
I've been gifted like beautiful things, like sometimes like a piece of clothing or like. What do I have from props? Do I have any props? I'm sure I do. I have so much stuff in my house. It's ridiculous.
Right.
It's too much. Yes.
Sure.
I need a bigger place. That's why it seemed that much crowded. But
What would people be surprised to learn about you?
I've never done any stunt before I did Kingsman, so like a lot of people think I come from that world, and I don't. But I think a lot of people don't know that. That's it. And I don't know. I'm not as. I don't know.
Sure. What TV show have you watched all the way through more than once?
I've never done that.
Really?
I have something with TVs that it gives me sort of anxiety because it doesn't end. So I wanted, like, I love
It's
movies,
so true, though.
and then I'm done. I put it to sleep, and it's like I can think about it and watch it again. But with TV show, I feel like I always have this anxiety that it's sort of I would binge and I need to finish it. If I start something, I have to finish it. Like even movies that I don't like, I watch everything until the end. So if that's why like TV, I'm afraid sometimes because if I start, I have to finish whether I like it or not, whether it's good or not.
I have the same problem.
I do the same thing with books.
No, I completely understand what you're saying. My question is, so do you watch any TV or it's very, very selective?
Very, very selective.
So you saw Sharp Objects.
Yeah.
Do you watch Game of Thrones?
No, I can't see. Okay, so everybody's saying I tried, but it would be way too much to catch up with. That will really stress me out.
And Breaking Bad?
No, I haven't, but I want to. I really want to do Breaking Bad.
Yeah, that one's really good. And it is
Yeah.
also, it's not that long. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I recommend that one. And also The Wire.
Okay.
The Wire is tremendous.
Okay.
What's the background photo on your phone?
Oh, it's just the thing that comes.
Oh,
with,
it's like the natural thing?
It's the natural thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I was more creative. I should change it, but I didn't bother. So it's that boring thing. It's a beach, though. It just makes me look forward to my next vacation.
Have you watched any movie more than 10 times?
Probably. Not that I remember. Pulp Fiction, maybe. Requiem for a Dream, which I was fascinated with when I was a teenager.
Sure.
What else? Wings of Desire, which is a movie that I loved when I was younger, which I came across when I was about 14.
Yeah.
And I found out about the remake long after. I was like, oh, City of Angel. That's Wings of Desire. I would tell people that, is it? Yes.
It's very true. Do you have a favorite pair of sneakers or shoes?
Yes, I do. That I have since I'm about 16 or 17. I went on tour with it. There's a bunch of people that signed their names on, and I still have it. And I just lost my pair of Doc Martens, which I walked the world with. I'm not wearing them, but it's just
Wait,
that
you lost them?
I lost them. I went on holiday in Italy with a bunch of friends, and I think I left them behind, and they were just gone. How do you lose a pair of shoes?
I don't know, but that sucks. I
does.
understand when you have a
feeling?
favorite. Yeah.
I got a new pair because I just want to. I like that pair that you go everywhere with, and I have that with my pair of Doc Martens because they're so easy to wear and they're not comfortable to begin with, but they become that.
Sure. My last question for you. Do you remember what got you interested in wanting to be in the entertainment industry?
I remember, my father's a composer, my mom is an architect and paints, and I grew up in a very artistic family. I was always encouraged to be creative, and so I always had that, and music was a very present art form in my house, and I always moved around. I always wanted to celebrate music, I think, and so becoming a dancer was pretty natural. And then I think after that, I just was fascinated with Michael Jackson, and seeing him on stage at a very young age, I could understand what he was feeling without wanting to be a singer at all. And that is just what drives me, is just what's in my heart, to be honest, and having that sort of need and want to express myself artistically, and because I feel very inspired by a lot of things. And so I just want to be creative and
Sure.
yeah.
On that note, I'm going to say tremendously thank you so much for coming in. A huge thank you again to House of Aurora for being our awesome sponsor.
Thank you.
Enjoy TIFF.
Thank you so much. You too.